Okay, it looks like we are live. So I'm gonna go solo here. Hi everybody, I'm Somi, and we are here today with a number of lovely ladies from the FemPeak platform, the Women in Business and Technology think tank. And okay, let me add, we've got Jyoti here as well, so you can see everybody. So we are talking today about the question of whether women can have it all. Now, why are we talking about this? It's because in our think tank, we came to the understanding that there are really about six, you can call it, verticals, or six, reasons why women aren't in the top tier of business and technology. When you look at in the West, we've got six companies that are essentially running the business and technology, the landscape. And then in the East, we also have 5 or 6 companies, and none of them are founded and run by women. So I really wanted to try and find out why this is and how we can overcome that. And we came up with 6 reasons, and one of those reasons tends to be family and relationship, because it seems like women's career progression is in conflict with, or you can say their biological clock is in conflict with their career clock, because in a similar kind of time frame when they need to really promote and succeed, that is exactly the time where we see that a lot of women have difficulty. So all these lovely ladies here today are going to talk about this topic, and they're going to, we've got people from very different backgrounds, all sorts of backgrounds, very interesting, diverse group of people here, and they're going to talk about whether women can have it all. So it's a very interesting question. It's very close to my heart, because the reason why I started this whole platform was because it came out of a breakup where I had to choose between my career and a relationship. So in my case, my answer to that was like, it appears that the answer is no, but I really hope that I'm wrong. And I'm hoping that today we will find some kind of breakthrough here. And, maybe there is a way, that women can have it all. But also, I guess, it's a question of what that all means. So let's start with, I'm going to start actually with my business partner, Jyoti here, because she can also give you a little bit of a overview of what we are trying to build here with the platform. And, I'm putting her on spot here. I literally messaged her a few minutes ago and I said, Jyoti, you need to be on the call too. So, I'd really like her, because we come from a very different background. Jyoti has got 2 kids, a successful, you would say, a family life, whereas in my case, I had to kind of make a choice between family and career. And I think we come from slightly different perspectives. So it's really interesting to hear. So Jyoti, do you want to introduce yourself very quickly and talk a little bit about this from your point of view?
Sure. Thanks, Somi. Great to see everyone here. So Jyoti Balani, I'm in the conversational AI and data science space. I have my own consultancy, and I do projects for large enterprise. And I'm also on a mission to democratize AI and data science for small, medium business, which is where Somi and I met last year. So as Somi was talking about, I come from a very traditional background. I had an arranged marriage at 23. And I spent the next, I would say, 10, 15, 20 years really juggling kids and in-laws and, being a wife and homemaker and a full-time employee. So I actually was a software developer, went from software development to product development. So I've worked for 24 years, both at home and in the corporate world. And I have to say, I had points of breakdown. Some very dark times, because you're just giving all the time. The problem is, we have limited time, energy, and patience. But what I've learned is if I could rewind back and talk to my younger self, I would say don't give all your energy away. You need to refuel. And so there's a pace at which it needs to be done, and you have to learn how to say no. But part of the female psyche is that you want to do it all. I mean, the title of this is "Can Women Have It All?" I think part of our problem is that because we can do it, we'll do it. And I've learned now is just because you can doesn't mean you should. So that's really the framework where I came from. And as Somi said, we came from very different backgrounds, but we have now met at a point where our missions have aligned. I have two boys, 24 and 18. They're getting, settled in their lives, although they still need their mama. But I'm more their coach and guide than, the everyday thing. So I really feel for, women who've got younger kids, because it is really, really hard. But I'll tell you, the pandemic, in one way, while it's tough because you're becoming homeschoolers and, still want to work, it's become the great equalizer because, men would go off and have, cocktails and play golf. And I went through that. I couldn't do it. I rose through ranks and I worked for CEOs of $500 million companies. But I never had to go compromise on anything that I believed in. While I didn't play golf with them or hang out with drinking buddies. I still rose, and I had male mentors, which was actually the more fascinating part of this whole thing. So, Sobi, does that sort of frame this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great start, and we have very different perspectives, as I mentioned. So it would be really good now to hear from everybody else. I see that we've got Jessica in. Jessica, I just want you to know that I can see you. I know that you are waiting in line. I can't add you to the stream yet. Maybe I'll take off Jyoti while somebody else speaks. So let's go with Veronica, because she was on the call in the very beginning. So Veronica, do you want to tell us a little bit about your perspective? And while you speak, I'm going to bring Jessica on board.
Hi everyone, my name is Veronica Manzanares. I'm the business manager of Purple Translation Services, a women-owned business aiming to prove that feminism and professionalism are perfectly compatible. And that will be your family and relationship Sherpani today. We are constantly told that we cannot do everything, that we have to choose between career or family. Why would we want to go crazy and have it all, right? But today I want to break that barrier. To start with, the word family can actually refer to many things, and there are many kinds of family as you want there to be. So it can be your blood family, parents, siblings, etc. A family that you've created with your partner, with or without children, that's entirely up to you, or one that you've created with friends and other people who you love. I grew up in an environment where I could hear all sorts of, no, you cannot do this. Because in my culture, trying to go beyond what people expect from you is not really okay. They will tell you that you have to fit in, that you're crazy, especially if you are a woman. But none of that was actually appealing to me. In fact, I learned to ignore them. I actually told a few people to go live their own lives, basically, to be polite, and they left the country. I had to learn how to do things on my very own, and it was hard, but to be honest, I don't regret it at all. To me, a family is formed by those who love you, those who want who want you to achieve the best, and those who let you fly, and not by those who try to cut your wings every time they have a chance to. And yes, women can have it all. We can have everything we want. Children, awesome. Not children, awesome. A career that allows you to work from home and have a flexible schedule, go for it. I would like to finish with a couple of pieces of advice that I had to learn from my very own experience. The first one is, if someone dares to question you, just tell them that you are not asking for permission to live your life. You are just informing them about your decisions because you appreciate them, but they are not the ones who are going to actually live your life. So you have to basically prove that you are independent. They will not like it, believe me. I tried and they will not like it, but you will feel as free as you've always wanted to be. The second one is surround yourself with people who will support your crazy ideas. Don't waste your time with those who will not see what you see, and you will only feel like you are powerful, that you can do it, and that you don't have to count on anyone unless you really want to. So what do you think? Can we do it all?
Yeah. Very, very interesting, and I really liked Veronica how you started with today. I'm going to be your relationship Sherpani. I love how this Sherpani concept is taking off, and people are really relating to it. Thank you for starting like that. I really loved it. I think that ultimately it's a question of when we say have it all, what all means. If you want it all the way that I do, I don't know, it's probably very difficult. But I also really like how you said, you want children awesome. You don't want children awesome. And that's really the way that it should be, because, we really need to be able to change that mindset of this is the path and we all have to have to follow that path. Awesome. So next, let's have Besuti. So Besuti, I know when we were having our little rehearsal, you had a bit of a sound problem. I'm hoping that that's sorted now. So I'm going to let you explain a little bit about your views on whether women can have it all in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Besuti. I'm from Botswana, but working as an endowed educational technologist at Africa University in Zimbabwe. I believe that women can have it all, but not at once. It can take time, because looking at women like any other human being, they have the interest, they have the passion, they have desires, they have also their dreams. So, but for women to achieve the dreams, it delays by the role clarity of a woman. If you look at the women, you find that women, we are the one who are always at home cooking, taking care of our children. But for us to achieve our goals or to drive our dreams, we have to take care of our children first. Then when the children are grown up, that's when a woman can start their career, if it is a career or maybe do a business. And also I believe that through the support of the government or the policies that empowers women, that includes women, women can achieve, but not at the same time. It can take time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. So let's go to. I'm gonna exit. Okay, it's a bit. Okay, let's go to Ingrid. So Ingrid, go. And please do introduce yourself as well.
Yes, hi. So I'm Ingrid Syme. I have my own coaching and consultancy practice called Avenues Consultancy and Coaching, and I've just loved listening to the lovely women before me, because you raised so many points that I can resonate with. And I was at the point where I tried to, I think, have it all and thought I couldn't. Similar to you, so I got to a point where I had to choose, and it was basically, could I look after my family, my health, and my career at the same time? And one of those things had to give, and it was work that gave, because I felt I really couldn't sacrifice the other two. Yeah. But looking back, now I haven't quite sacrificed it, because I started up my own company instead. But I think women can't just leave, big corporations to start off their own all the time, because then there'll be nobody left. And we need senior female leaders, But when I look back, though, I think I could have made different choices that might have made it easier for me to keep the career going and also look after my family and my kids and my health. I had a lot of things happening to me in the space of a very short time that kind of helped lead fast track the burnout. But it was that notion that I had to do everything, that I should do everything, and that I had to be, I had to do the batch cooking at the weekend and the baking and, organize the birthday parties and also do the work. And I overcompensated for other people if I felt they weren't pulling their weight, for instance, or I overcommitted because I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to show that, anything going on in my personal life wasn't impacting my work. And after I kind of hit the wall with it all, I looked back and I realized that a lot of things are outside of my control, but my own actions and thoughts and behavioral patterns weren't. So that's why I work with women and mindset. Having said that, though, it's sorry, I'm actually losing track of the time, but I hope I'm still okay for time. There are a lot of structural changes here, and we need to look at them too, but we also need to look at how we deal with our own conception of what having it all means,
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And, I personally, I think that from, and not just my opinion, but from all the research that we've done, like I said, it does come down to what all means. And if you want to have it in a way that, let's say, for example, when we look at the top tier, right? This is why I think the fact that there are no women in the very top tier, when I say no women, I'm talking about, look, there are 5 companies in the US, right? Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and 5 in China, Alibaba, Baidu, Xiaomi, Huawei, Tencent. These 10 companies are running the world, and none of them are founded and run by women. And that's what I mean. This is the point in which technology and humanity is merging, and women are absent in where that is being shaped. And the fact that there are no women in that, and there are no women also a lot more in between as well. So it's not just the top layer. There's a real absence of women in like the 70% in between as well. And the fact that that is the case shows to me that probably you can't have it all. I think it's about being realistic ultimately. And yeah, it sort of concerns me, and I would really love to think that that's not the case, but maybe technology can help us. So that's one of the reasons why we're here today, to talk about what can we do about it, and is there, for example, Besuti, you mentioned structures, governments. Well, we can't really change those things over time. But what can we do? Is there something that we can do? Can we use technology in a way to innovate with things that will make it easier for women? And that's one of the reasons why. So, Claudia, what do you think? You come from a law background. Let's see what your perspective.
Yeah, I should mention that I'm from Romania, and is relevant for what I'm going to say. But I'm on the school of thought very similar to you, Jyoti. I didn't know that. I just find it out right now. I don't think that women can have it all. And like you, I've made a very rational choice that I cannot have it all, and I also chose my career. And I realized that I cannot put, because I'm the type of person who puts everything into a project, and that project could have been motherhood. I would have sacrificed career for that. I cannot accept half measures. That's who I am. So I've chose. Also, we should mention that we women discussing here, maybe we are the lucky ones, because I've seen all of us have our own businesses. We are all entrepreneurs. We have consultancies. We have our own law office. So we can have these thoughts and considerations. Shall I do this? Shall I do that? But so many millions of woman cannot have these choices. And this, I agree, we need to change that. We need to change first the expectation society has of us. For instance, in Romania, in the current government, we only had one woman, considering the top tier positions, because I've been member of a political party and I've been very active in the political party, and they kicked me out, as your business partner just said. Men have this liberty of going out golfing, going out clubbing, going out having a beer, and they don't invite women. They never actually invite women. So if they invite a woman, she needs to be like them, very masculine somehow. So we need to change this paradigm. Why we need to change it? Because men, when they go out in informal settings, they take decisions. And the decision is, we're gonna promote or we are supporting this person, usually a man, to achieve this position. And now I'm talking mostly about politics, because today we just had a second woman named as a Minister of Health in our government. So we only have two women and I don't know, almost 18 or 17 men. And that's the pattern, is not the exception. So the discussion needs to be done. How can we overcome this? We can overcome educating somehow the woman that we need to be more rational. That's how I feel it, and to choose wisely for us, and think very profoundly what we want to achieve in our lives. Unfortunately, yeah, maybe it's a bit gloomy, but from my experience, I also don't think we can have it all, but we can have a lot if we make rational.
I like that. Yeah, I really like that, because you're like, we can't have it all, but we can have a lot, and I really like that, because it's a good compromise, and ultimately I've had to make a rational decision and say, okay, with the level of ambition that I have, where I want to go, I cannot possibly see how I could have kids, at the same time. It's, I would be very lucky if I had, the right kind of partner with maybe a dog or a cat or something, like that's the level of compromise. But I can't possibly see how I could, take a kid to school, to do all of those things. Is pretty difficult for women, because for men, they have wives. It's a bit easier. Jessica, what do you think? So do you want to tell us a little bit about your perspective, your background, and your thoughts? You're muted, so if you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me? I have the headphones on because there's a wood chipper behind me. The neighbors have a wood chipper going.
Oh, good.
I'm Jessica Kilroy, and I live in California, the United States. And I am a wind turbine technician and a wind course supervisor. So I work basically all men, a field of all men. And there are 2 women in my company of about 150 male technicians. I work for a company that's internationally based. So we go all over the world and do repairs on wind turbines. The blades. We do basically a fiberglass repair while hanging off of rock climbing ropes. So another word would be like a industrial rock climber. I think that the term is industrial athlete. So it's a very physical job. It's very, we're away from home. It's quite demanding physically. And I have really found a balance finally, but I've been doing this for about 15 years now. And I think the issues that I've run into the most are women in the construction world not supporting other women. So things like this, what Somi is doing is, I think, probably one of the best things that we can do as women with raising people up, raising each other up as women. Because when we do not do that, we actually are just contributing to the source of our own oppression. And that's what I've seen is the cutthroat, that dark cutthroat site, which I know all of you have seen, I'm sure, in all of your industries, with the little amount of women competing against each other. And that's part of the issue with having the patriarch, is that when you do have this massive patriarch, it's not only affecting It's not just the men, it's the women are part of that. So that's part of that toxic masculinity that's really in my industry. So I do think women can have it all. I really agree with what Veronica said about, don't ask permission. I love that. I know that I break a lot of molds with what I do. People are really blown away when they see me. They're like, oh, what are you, 12 years old? And no, I'm actually 42. So I have had quite a, quite an interesting run trying to get everything going and keeping it going with my career and my family and my husband. And then I also love what Jyoti said about don't give all your energy away. You need to refuel. That is so key. These women had so many great things that I actually just kind of abandoned a lot of what I wrote because I love what they said and what Besuti said, and also what Claudia said about women in office and women in the government. I think that's kind of where we're going to need change to really take root, is in having CEOs as women and having women in government. And then what Ingrid said about the fast track to burnout and making the right sacrifices and basically not trying to be everything. That's super key. I do think that women can have it all with proper planning, prioritizing, time management, and balance. It's important to balance quality family time, alone time, which is what I think Claudia had said, or Ingrid. And I think it's important to balance also health, financial, professional investment in order to achieve a successful outcome. Communication is really key with family. I've found I have to have a very consistent and reliable communication plan in order to keep things going well, because I am away from home for months on end, and that's very difficult. And so communication, healthy boundaries, and taking time each day to spend with family and partners is the key to making it all work at home and on the job. And as Somi explained about very little women at the top of the companies, I do think that that's probably one of the limiting factors, is trying to balance all of those things, because it's not like acceptable for me to go play golf with the boys, like Claudia was saying. And it's strange because even though I am one of the boys and I work with all men, I've had one female partner in 10 years at the company I'm at. And that was probably the best job I've had the whole time, because we could just work as colleagues and there wasn't that odd feeling of, I'm basically a sexual object. And that's something that's, I don't know how to get around that unless I am more masculine, like Claudia had mentioned, because there is a woman that I work with that is has chosen to dress more masculine, and I have chosen not to, because I did that for years. I tried to be more manly, and it didn't work. And I don't recommend doing that. that was a bad choice, because I was trying to fit in, and that was denying my femininity. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I really loved, Jyoti was telling me that she likes how it's great. I mean, you're basically doing part of my work as well, because you remember everybody's name, it's really well put together. Really love that. So one of the reasons why it's important for women to also have some sort of a relationship or family environment, even when they are working as madly as I do, is that we all have like something like a body budget, or like we've got things that replenish our body budget, and I feel like I'm usually very open about kind of my life. I came to the UK in 2005. I have no family in the UK, so I came here completely by myself with one suitcase, and the work has definitely taken over, and I definitely can feel sometimes that lack of, that void for just kind of human connection on that level. And when I had to make a choice between career and relationship, going through a breakup and all that stuff, it it was definitely, I really feel that it's not necessarily healthy. I don't necessarily have a solution, because it has to be the right kind of partner or family environment, but it is definitely a challenge, and if that for me, that's why, like, even if I'm like super successful and a billionaire, I still can't say I've had it all, because at that, for me, from those 6 elements, that's part that is missing for me, right? So yeah, so really interested to hear, from let's see, Mona. What do you think, Mona? Mona, where are you from? It's a very Persian-y kind of name. I'm from Iran, so you're muted. Okay, unmute. Oh, let me unmute you. Okay, now you're sorted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Mona Mamtani. I'm from India, and so very happy. Thanks for inviting me, and I become a part of this community. Very interesting topic. I have worked for 35 years in the corporate. My upbringing was very modern. Modern, I would say, to the extent that my aunts and my dad's sister, mom's sister, they all were working and educated. So we were brought up in a milieu where, we didn't have any threat that we are any different, or we can do less. It was purely to what your capacity is, take it to the best and achieve something. So, but it's only when I entered the corporate world, for which my father had prepared me very well, because I was good at studies, I was doing well, and in 85 I did software programming, which was still not heard of in India that much. So I was one of the few females who knew computers at that time. So there was a lot of threat from software people, and so it was only when I entered the corporate world I realized that how bad the scene is, how women are cut to no. Hello, am I there? Hello.
Yes, all good. We can hear you.
Okay. Because my screen froze. So this was, I heard Jyoti saying that, even if we can do it, that doesn't mean we have to do it. I remember when we were growing, and a lot of people say, you have to be strong like boy. Which boy? So I think the way they are brought up and the way men are brought up, it is very different. While we are taught to, make our own decisions, think, like you said, deciding between family, getting married. I also don't have children and I'm single. But I know how difficult it was, even in India, to stay like that and to fight it for no reason at all. So it is how they are brought up. The girls are told, I feel very sad when I see a young girl who says, I want to prove myself and do better than boys. But then why do you think you are less in any which ways? So I think somewhere, if you talk about can women have it all, no, we can't. But then if we make a choice, we can at least have what our capacity, what our resources allow us to achieve. If we identify that and work, because opposition is not only with women, we all face it, but then how we use our resources and to make a life better. So I remember I got a mail from you saying, Somi, that family and relationships, I think this is what gives us full strength. When in a milieu that I'm brought up, we were very, very supportive and close-knit family. But then we as we grow, we build more relationships. We have friends, neighbors, colleagues, people who travel with us, strangers. We make, even the vendors, the local helpers, they become our family. So they are the people who fill the void that we have. So every relationship is based on trust. As long as we able to maintain that trust, we are happy. It becomes disturbing when there is an imbalance. So I think working towards maintaining that trust, it gives you strength, happiness, and when it comes to growing and taking your own decisions, is totally based on what you are supposed to determine, and that is something which you create for yourself.
Amazing.
So this is
Can I just say that you're badass? Like, seriously, I was just like, somebody just messaged me to say, I love the Indian woman. And I responded saying, yes, I know, she's badass. Yeah, it's so cool. You've been in the technology scene all the time. And like, it's pretty amazing what you've done. I'm so impressed. Amazing.
Sobi, I can't see anything. My screen is frozen. Is it at your end?
No, we can see you. You're good, and we can hear you as well. But we are now going to go to Gemma and see Gemma. So look forward to hearing what your perspective is on this.
Okay, thank you so much, Somi, for being here. I'm speaking from New York City. I was born in Spain originally, but I've been living in New York for 20 years. And my background is I've been engaging with many audiences inside of museums, art museums in New York City for more than a decade in VIP programs and also family programs. And I engage in conversation with people, especially the main goal is to encourage themselves to be who they are. And don't forget the potential that we have to achieve really anything that we would like to achieve. I do believe that we have that potential. And yes, I do believe that we women can have it all. But I was listening to all the comments from all of you. I don't have enough time to go through all of them. But I think in order to have it all, we have to know also when is enough. When do we think it's enough? And in order to know when it's enough for us, we really have to get to know ourselves. So in my experience, like Mona, I also had many conversations and interacted in the corporate world of the museums. Also, like Jessica, at the beginning, I thought I might be more powerful, even for me, to be more confident on myself in my clothes. But I realized that the best way we can be is to be true to who we are. And I feel more comfortable wearing more feminine clothes to allow myself to be surprised when I have to be surprised. And I really believe that if we're true to ourselves, we encourage others to also be true to themselves. And you create this trust. Now, about if we can have it all, I happen to be the wife of a pilot. I came to the United States 20 years ago, didn't know anyone, and I have two children, and right now they are 15 and 17 years old. And it's true that it's not easy to have it all, and we have to be patient to have what we want to have. But also, to me, it's very important to have an equilibrium, to have a balance. And I'm saying this because sometimes we might feel like we are unbalanced in life. I'm sure with coronavirus, many of you may have lost dear loved ones. And in my case, I'm saying we can have it all, even when I lost my dear sister, my only sibling, due to cancer a year and a half ago. So suddenly I find myself being a only child, right? Taking care of my parents who are in Spain. And maybe I'm thinking, well, now I cannot have it all. I mean, I lost my sister. I lost my job. My parents lost a daughter. But I keep believing that within my limits, if I believe I can have something, it's very important to not allow anyone to tell you that you cannot achieve it. If you believe it, that being who you are, you can achieve it, it really doesn't matter if you can achieve it or not. Maybe not while you're alive, but maybe you're encouraging young children or your daughter to continue the life of believing in your goals. So I set the example of the voting for women. Can we have it all? Yes, we can vote. Of course we can vote. Can we go to another planet? Yes, we can. Now be patient. Maybe it won't be your time, but that doesn't mean that we cannot have. There's so much to talk about this. Thank you so much. You made me think of so many questions and answers. And just to say goodbye, I think I went over 1 minute at least on my conversation. But in order to create these conversations, I left the corporate world. I left everything. I'm bilingual, and I created a platform, which is Hexagons Global, because I want to apply these conversations when you look at a painting and ask people, what do you see when you look at this painting? Because only by getting to know yourself, you know the potential that you have. And if we don't support, especially women, which is our potential, we will never achieve these dreams and these goals. And believe me, I'm one of these people that people will tell me, Gemma, it's impossible. Gemma, you cannot go. You cannot be the wife of a pilot. You cannot have children. Well, here I am. And I couldn't be with Somi right now on the platform. But life you know, I
Yeah.
remember I lost my dear sister. We all lose things, but be balanced. So thank you so much. And
Thank you, Gemma, and I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you for sharing. That was definitely touching. So Lisa, we've got Lisa here, and I can see that you are
Yes,
a doctor as well, Lisa. Do you want to tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I mentioned that because it was very, very hard work getting it through. Yeah, I am a doctor. I'm very proud of my doctorate. It's in international management, right? And in prisons and University of Agder. So it's about voicing. It's about the processes of voicing and silence at work. And I studied some. I had 20 cases of oil tech engineers and managers that I talked to that were working internationally, both men and women, and top and middle managers. I was interested because, as you can hear, I'm from Yorkshire. I'm British, and I've had 20 years of working and studying between the two countries, and I've worked as a manager in the UK. That was my first job on graduation from my master's. Getting a job in the UK, management was very forward. It was the only one. And so I wanted to work in management. I wanted to prove that I could do this. Right? I'm working class, so I really wanted to just, prove really, this is what I love doing. I just love management and everything. During the time, I had my daughter in 2008 as well. So this also threw in these ideal selves, right? My mum's in a care home too. So the extra elements of people asking, based on these ideals, are you sure you can manage? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Are you sure you don't want to go back after maternity leave? Are you sure you don't want to work part-time, for example, or have an admin role? I said, no, I want to go back into a management role. Maybe head office based rather than regional. But it was well, yeah, but how's it going to affect your daughter being in a nursery full time? I said, I don't think it's going to affect her poorly. She's going to one of the best in town. So she's going to do way better for me being, working. So it was all these extra frames, and also in terms of mum, right? So, well, yeah, and especially when we moved over here to Norway, it's the extra thing of, but I said, well, I need to go. I need to do something. So I work without voice and silence at work, So because I wanted to just.
Sorry, Lisa, I apologize for. I apologize for interrupting, but your sound is really breaking up.
Oh no!
Do you? Yeah, we were. I don't know if everybody had the same problem, but I could definitely have difficulty hearing it. So, do you want to maybe try turning off your camera and just use sound? That might help. Yeah. So try that. Okay. Now try speaking and let's see. So I heard, I picked up as much as that you, after having your child, you wanted to go back to your management role. People were telling you, no, are you sure? Can you do it? And you said, yes, I want to do it. That I picked up that much. So do you want to try?
So can you hear? Yeah. So it was this thing of. Well, of course I can. Of course I can. There's no problems.
So I apologize, Lisa. We are still having difficulty. There's quite a lot of you're breaking up a little bit. So I'm gonna go to Iwana. Okay, it's a top.
Is it
try
better now?
Try.
Can you hear me?
Okay, you are breaking up.
No. Oh, God.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Iwana talk. We did
Okay.
pick up a little bit of your points, and so Iwana, am I saying it correctly? You told me your name earlier. Yes,
Iwana, yes.
Iwana. Yes.
Yes, so I'm last but not least, hopefully.
No,
So
definitely not.
hello. Yes. Hello. Thank you so much, Somi, for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I'm Iwana. I'm the founder of Karma Sutta Counseling, where we offer online access to licensed experienced professionals and aim to make counseling affordable and accessible to anyone, anytime, and anywhere. So, can women have it all? Can we have families, relationships, and success? Yes, we can. But it takes time, patience, as somebody has said it, dedication, self discovery, and improvement from a place of genuine curiosity and modesty. Before wishing to have it all, we must set up the right motivation. So I would change the question a little bit into can women have it all, or we want us to feel whole? See the difference? Why do I say this? As I had seen women that were having a family and a social life and a successful career, but they were not happy, or at least content. So the question I would say is, do we want to have it all, or we want to have it happy, while mindfully setting up goals for ourselves, but not depending on fulfilling them? And what is all? It is important to answer this question because if we say that in today's society all means family, relationship, and success, don't we just follow into our ancestors' footsteps and set up another cultural stereotype for the others to fill in? It is a reality some women do not wish to marry, or some do not want to have kids, or some want to be stay-home wives and mothers. And with this question, even if our motivation is good in essence, we might end up putting unnecessarily pressure on them. What I'm saying is that all is in the eye of the beholder. And what we need to do is to develop the wisdom to become a tribe, like in here, where each and every one of us sets up their own standards for what all means and supports the others in reaching their own understanding of all. How do we do that? We do that by working on ourselves, by discovering and rediscovering our values with modesty. Why modesty? Because modesty is wisdom in disguise. Modesty is me understanding my qualities and the traits I would like to improve from a place of genuineness, of peace, or at least lack of conflict, from a place of not feeling pressure. Kate Ross discusses balance in love. She says, we don't often discuss balance in love, yet most relationships end because of this factor. It's easy to lose sight of our needs when we begin a relationship with someone. We dismiss our need for freedom, quiet, and even sex. We overlook practical aspects like communication or home rituals. And then one day, we wake up and realize we aren't where we want to be. And Kate is right. We need balance in love, in career, in relationships. We need balance. We need acceptance and equanimity when we think of all. And I think we need wisdom to understand that my all doesn't necessarily need to be your all. That's my perspective.
Definitely. No, very, very true. Very true. And I'm going to start now that I've heard all of your perspectives. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm open to whoever wants to answer this. One of the biggest issues I've got with this question of, whether we can have it all is that a little bit like, if you think about a kitten, a cat, that you keep at home and has never gone out, doesn't know what's out there, right? You think about, if you have like an outdoor cat, the cat knows that, what's out there. They know that they can go and hunt and, run around and find mice and butterflies, all that stuff. But the cat that you keep at home all the time doesn't even know what they're missing. And I feel like when we talk about can we have it all and about happiness, because especially, you mentioned happiness, can we have it all or can we be happy? I feel like you could think that you are happy, but you're sort of missing, right? And what I see in a lot of cases is that I feel like women are a lot of times missing out on the experience of that kind of freedom of going out there, exploring, finding, creating in a way that comes to men. We talked about not being invited to the golf club or to all of those things. So maybe Jessica, you might be a good person to answer this, because you mentioned about your experiences might be a good place to start. But what do you think? Because when we talk about, I just want to be happy, but what if you don't know what you're missing?
Absolutely. I was thinking about that when you were talking about the inside and outdoor cat, because when I was a kid, I really, really wanted to be a firefighter like my dad. He was a forest firefighter. And I didn't think that I could ever do that because only men were doing it then. And then my dad encouraged me. He said, no, you do it. You can do anything. So I was really raised by a single dad. And I had a lot of that kind of like perspective that I wouldn't have had if maybe I was an indoor cat somewhere growing up somewhere else. But I grew up in Montana in the mountains in a tiny cabin with a dad who worked with his hands, and we were very poor. And so he always told me, never let anything limit you. I want you to be able to do everything you want to do. So when I finally did fight forest fire, I started fighting forest fire. It was my first job when I was 18 years old, as soon as I was out of high school. And I met a woman who was a smoke jumper who was smaller than me. And smoke jumping is the elite. It's kind of like the Navy SEALs of forest firefighting. And I met her on a fire it was like 3,000 men. It was like a sea of men and this woman. And we were in the women's bathroom. They only had like 2 stalls out of, hundreds for the men. And it was fascinating because I said to her, wow, how are you doing this? And she said, you can do this too. And it was amazing to me because even though my dad had told me I needed someone who looked like me to say that I could do it. And so when she said that I could do that, I ended up finally working through the ranks. I had to work my butt off, probably double the amount of work that my male cohorts had to, work in order to get the standards that I needed. And I finally did get all of the training, and I ended up working my way through, and I did finally become a smoke jumper. And I didn't last there long because I was injured pretty quickly, and it was a blessing because it's not a very sustainable lifestyle. But I did end up doing that for a lot of years. And to kind of get to the base of that was the first moment that my mind was very expanded in the way that, like, I really did not think that was possible at all for a woman, for my small frame, and then a smaller woman, Native American too, which was totally badass. Because, that's really rare in any, it's all, So anyway, it was very cool to see that. And that really expanded my perspective.
Very good. Yeah, definitely. Ingrid, you had some interesting perspectives on this. And actually, what I see here, there's an interesting. I can add the comments to the. It's quite cool. So I think, Jessica, let me mute you. Yeah, cool. So here we've got an interesting comment. Being a woman is about multitasking. I don't know if I agree. And you mentioned, Ingrid, about how you were trying to do everything. What was your perspective? Do you agree with this comment? So it's like, it says being a woman is about multitasking while finding balance. We're kind but not weak, strong but gentle. I don't know. I don't know if I agree that we're not all the same. I can't multitask to save my life.
No, we try. Nobody can multitask. We know this. But I think in one way, this is a lovely sentiment. But it's in one way, it's kind of, this is like an ideal human, really, isn't it? Well, apart from the multitasking thing, it's fine to have different things on the go, but we know that multitasking is actually our brains aren't set up to do it. But I think for me, and it's really in one way, we're talking about different things here as well. We're talking about the issue that we have too few women in power in a lot of the companies that shape our world, and what do we do about that? But also, how do we find ourselves in this big haystack of potential and limitations and what we can do? And there's a lot of different, and then we talk about personal fulfillment. So there's a lot of different strands here. And I think the key, I love hearing all the stories, and Gemma actually said a lot about what I had planned to say when then I got kind of sidetracked by a lot of what other people were saying. But I differentiate between having it all and doing it all. And doing it all is that crazy multitasking, where you don't really know what you're aiming for. You're just trying to cover a lot of different bases, and a lot of that is grounded in these stereotypes or ideals that you think that something should be. If I'm a mom, this is what that looks like. If I have a career, that's what that looks like. And then you forget yourself in the middle of it. And what does it mean to me? You know, being a mom to me might look completely different to what it means to somebody else. And it's that is the key, I think, to finding that balance and happiness. Being a CEO, because we're all kind of silently almost saying that, no, we can't really be a CEO if we also want a family. We don't think it's possible. But maybe it is possible. It's not possible in the world that we're looking at now, because we're seeing men in suits, you know? And
yes,
it's about changing that aspect of it too, you know?
So one of the interesting things I can see here is one of the gentlemen, I'll add the comment, he says, surely it takes two to tango. This is one of the things we didn't really talk about today, you know, because I remember one of our first panelists from the first conference, she was saying that she's a plastic surgeon, and she says, at one point, I went back home to my husband and I said, you know what? I need a wife, because all of my colleagues, all of male, you know, plastic surgeons, they have wives that help them, you know. So that's one of the things that in some ways, you know, your partner can actually be enabling. So we're talking about family and relationships here, right? And I feel like this one of the things that we didn't really talk about, you know, how do you find or what if how do you find the right person, but also what if you have progressed, you know, like life changes, right, you know, and you have progress after you've had family and kids and all that, and all of a sudden you are now in a position where you have an opportunity and you have to take the opportunity, but then that means potentially sacrificing maybe years of marriage and then all that stuff. So it's definitely a very difficult thing. So on that, maybe Jyoti, are you there? You could talk about this, I think. If she's not there, yeah, she's here. Do you want to talk about this topic of the two to tango? Because you mentioned that your husband has been a big proponent of what you do.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about that. So, you know, obviously when you're man, woman, get married, you need two incomes to survive, actually, in places like the US, for example, and even in different parts of the world, right? So A, I didn't have a choice, but B, I wanted to work. He wanted me to work, which was great. It's like he would always tell me, you can do this. We did our master's together. He's always been a big believer. I never had to ask him. So I really was very lucky. But, you know, I was listening to a talk this morning by a woman. I posted her name in the chat. She said something very interesting. She said, when she was looking for a mate, she was very organized. She has a framework, and she spoke to her to-be and said, you know, in a very nice way, I like working and I really would love to have somebody who supports me. And he said, you know, I like working too, but for you, I will support you. He stayed home, took a back seat and did it. But, you know, it's really about the relationship, because if two problems happen, if both are ambitious and they are not willing to do what it takes to make it work, it's out the window. If the woman's ambitious, but the man gets jealous, that also happens because she's more successful. I've seen many stories like that. She's making more, she's more popular. There's that, you know, jealousy part. So the two have to decide, what do you want to do? The two partners, right? Male, female, two males, it doesn't matter. make sure you are day one in sync. Or if you're in sync and then down the road you go, something is changing. So you have to be aware and intentional. And women usually are sacrificer. Like I stayed in corporate for a number of years while my husband wanted to try entrepreneurship. He's a very entrepreneurial guy. I said, you go, I will hold down the fort. And then when time came for me to try, I had actually burnt out after 24 years in corporate. He said to me, you go. He had settled down, his startup, which is now 8 years old. He shared everything with me. He taught me how to do everything. I did not know how to work the banking system after I moved from my parents' house to my husband's house. He really taught, that's really what you want. You want to teach each other how to do this, but it's all about mindset. How are men raised? How do men think about women? The traditional roles that they have, especially Indian, as Mona was talking, in India, women's role is very well defined. So you need a man that will stand up and say, no, you are my equal partner. And that's what FemPeak's about. How do you get level playing field to climb that mountain?
Yeah, definitely. And let me come back here. Yes, definitely. I'm actually going to, as we are, I think we've been here for about an hour, so we're going to bring this discussion towards an end. But what I wanted to share with you guys, I want to share my screen for a second. Share my second screen. Yeah. Okay. What I want to show you here is what we are building, because there's been a lot of questions about what FemPeak actually is and what we're trying to do. So what you see here is the ecosystem that we are building. And as Jyoti said, it's about solving these issues. So people coming to the think tank, by the way, this is the first time I'm openly sharing this. This is actually part of our pitch deck because we are currently raising investment. But people coming to the think tank, we will have these discussions. So out of today's discussions, I made some notes that these notes, they're all going to later on turn into workshops and, things that we're going to delve deep into. For example, Jyoti mentioned about how she got her husband to help her. There's that communication, maybe that we are not asking questions the right way, and maybe we need help with, because there's no precedence, there's no previous paradigm for the type of society that we are entering now, with this level of engagement of women. This is for the first time in history, women are, coming closer to being in a level playing field. So these are things that we are going to pick up from these think tank sessions. And then from there, we are going to bring them into bringing in experts, Sherpanis, to help us find solutions around those things and better communicate them. So these are the 6 areas that we're working on. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. So confidence, knowledge of technology, financial literacy, leadership and entrepreneurship skills, women's health, family and relationship. And then you will meet the Sherpanis. We will have both AI Sherpani and human Sherpanis. And the Sherpanis will help us, climb this mountain, go up the mountain. And from here, so this year, our goal is to build our learning hub. And next year, we will be focusing more on our career hub. So as people come into the learning hub and gain new skills, they go into the career hub and, companies can find them. We are going to talk a lot about the areas that women are more gravitating towards, which is not always a good thing, because where there is a gap, that's not where women are, and we want to help them, close that gap. And then 2023, all of this may also happen faster, but this is kind of the rough roadmap. We're going to build our own marketplace, Femtrade marketplace for supporting female-led companies, and then investment hub to help female-led startups raise investment and succeed. So this is really where we're going. And I just shared this with you so you get an idea of why we are having these conversations and where we're going with all of this. So I hope that it excites you the way it excites me. This is the first time I shared that, and it hopefully gives you an idea of why we are here having these conversations and where we're going with that. Because there's a lot of talk, there are a lot of events, but there's not actual action most of the time. And if we wait for governments, we'll be waiting for a very long time. So the goal of having these conversations is to hopefully start a movement where we can overcome these challenges together. Right? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks everybody. And I'll continue to talk to you over emails, and hopefully I'll see you here again. All right. All right. Bye, guys. Take care. Bye.